The sun hung low over our quiet ranch in Willow Creek, casting golden rays across the rolling hills of Northern California. It was early June 2023, and my 13-year-old son, Ethan, was out in the pasture, brushing his mare, Luna, with a tenderness that made my heart ache. Luna, a gentle soul with a chestnut coat and soulful eyes, stood still under his care, her trust in him absolute. This daily ritual was their sacred time, a moment of pure connection before the world intruded. Ethan had spent 4 years saving for Luna, every dollar from mowing lawns, every cent from holiday gifts, stashed in a tin box marked Horse Fund, in his messy scrawl. When we finally visited the rescue center, Ethan ignored the flashy young horses and stopped at Luna's stall. She was older, her muzzle graying, her back slightly swayed from years of neglect. The staff tried to nudge us toward healthier stock, but Ethan knelt down, looked into her weary eyes, and said, "Dad, this is her. She needs us." That was 3 years ago. Since then, Luna had blossomed from a skittish, broken creature into a loyal companion who followed Ethan like a shadow, nickering softly at the sound of his voice. Our ranch sat on the edge of Pineview Heights, a small community in Sonoma County where we'd lived peacefully for a decade. Things were fine until Margaret Voss moved in and clawed her way into the HOA presidency. Margaret was a walking stereotype of suburban tyranny, mid-50s, always dressed like she was headed to a gala, with flawless auburn hair and a voice sharp enough to cut glass. She'd arrived after a bitter divorce, carrying a venom that seemed to taint everything around her. Within months, she'd filed complaints against half the neighborhood: too tall hedges, tacky lawn decorations, you name it. But her real obsession became Luna. It started small. She griped that our barn was an eyesore despite it being well-maintained and within zoning laws. Then she claimed our compost pile was a public health risk. We proved her wrong every time, but that only fueled her rage. At a community meeting, she stood up, her voice dripping with disdain, and declared, "That horse is a disgrace to this neighborhood. The stench, the flies, it's ruining our property values." I stood my ground, calmly citing the zoning laws we triple-checked. Ms. Voss, our property complies with every regulation. Luna's no nuisance. Her eyes narrowed, her lips curling into a sneer. Laws change, Mr. Callahan, and I'll make sure they do. That was the start of her war on us. Margaret bombarded the city with complaints, each one costing us hundreds in inspection fees. Every inspection found us compliant, but she didn't care. She plastered the neighborhood with flyers claiming Luna was a dangerous beast, attracting pests and lowering home values. Most neighbors saw through her lies, but a few started giving us cold stares. The worst part was watching Ethan unravel. My bright, fearless boy grew quiet, his spark dimming. He'd come home to find Margaret at our fence, filming Luna, muttering about evidence. One night, he looked at me, his voice small. "Dad, maybe we should give Luna up. Maybe then she'd stop." His words broke me. This boy, who'd poured his heart into saving Luna, was ready to sacrifice her to escape Margaret's cruelty. I knelt before him, gripping his shoulders. "Ethan, some people think if they're miserable, everyone else should be too. But we don't give up on family. And Luna's family." Margaret's harassment only grew. She called animal control, so often they knew our address by heart. She filed noise complaints over Luna's soft knickers, even claimed our farm was poisoning the water supply. Every baseless accusation drained his time off work, legal fees, Ethan's slipping grades. He started waking up from nightmares, sobbing about losing Luna. One evening, I found him in the barn, arms wrapped around Luna's neck, crying, "She hates us, Dad." Why does she hate us? I had no answer. All I knew was Margaret Voss was trying to destroy my family, and she wouldn't stop until she did. The breaking point came on a warm May morning in 2024. I'd driven to town for feed, a routine errand. Ethan was home, planning to practice riding with Luna. When I pulled into the driveway, his screams hit me like a punch. I sprinted to the pasture and found him kneeling in the dirt, cradling Luna's head. The mare was shaking, her sides streaked with bloody welts, some so deep they oozed red. Ethan's face was a mess of tears and dust. "Dad," I tried to stop her, but she wouldn't, he sobbed. "Who?" I demanded, my voice shaking with fury. Through his tears, he told me, He'd been inside grabbing Luna's treats when he heard her scream a sound no horse should make. He ran out to see Margaret walking away, a riding crop in her hand, laughing. She said Luna was too close to the fence. Ethan choked out. She was just grazing, Dad. She didn't do anything. I called our vet, Dr. Emily Chun, who arrived in minutes. Her face darkened as she examined Luna. This wasn't a one-off, she whispered. These welts are deliberate, calculated to cause maximum pain. The vet bill was $1,500. Luna would heal physically, but the fear in her eyes was new, her trust in humans shattered. Ethan's eyewitness account and photos of the injuries went into a police report, but the officer, Margaret's nephew, barely glanced at them. Could have been kids messing around, he said, shrugging. Or a coyote. You might want to move that horse somewhere else. The system had failed us. Margaret had tortured Luna, traumatized my son, and walked free. That night, as Ethan slept, I sat on the porch, rage simmering. Margaret's routine was predictable. She bragged about it at every HOA meeting. Every Wednesday at 3 p.m., she visited her aunt at Crestwood Care Home, always parking in the same spot, always strolling through the garden path. I formed a plan. Dr. Chen had recommended gentle trail rides to help Luna heal. The trails behind Crestwood were perfect, wide, public, used by riders daily. It was legal, innocent, defensible. Wednesday dawned gray, clouds heavy with coming rain. I saw Ethan off to school, his shoulders slumped, his eyes dull. Then I saddled Luna, speaking softly to ease her nerves. She trusted me, despite everything. We rode the trail behind Crestwood, reaching the stretch by the garden at 3:15 p.m. A low fence separated the trail from the path where Margaret appeared, right on cue, yakking on her phone about sloppy neighbors. When she saw us, her face twisted with rage. She hung up and stormed toward the fence, heels clicking. You're stalking me, she shrieked. I'm calling the cops. I stayed calm, patting Luna. We're on a public trail, MS. Boss. Vet's orders for Luna's recovery. Recovery from what? She spat, her eyes gleaming with malice. From the beating you gave her, I said, voice low. The torture you inflicted because you get off on hurting others. Her face went scarlet. If I disciplined that beast, it deserved it, she hissed, snatching a branch from the ground and raising it like a club. Elderly residents watched from the care home windows as she screamed. That animal should be shot, and you need to learn your place. She swung the branch, not quite reaching us but close enough to spook Luna. I should have hit it harder, she taunted, stepping closer. That was her mistake. Luna's ears pinned back, her body tensing. Margaret raised the branch again, sneering, I'll teach it another lesson. Luna had had enough. The mare reared, hooves flashing, then charged, clearing the fence in one fluid leap. Margaret stumbled, her heels catching, and fell hard. I could have stopped Luna, pulled the reins, called her back. But I didn't. I let the reins go slack. Luna reared again, hooves slamming down on Margaret's shoulder and chest. The crack of breaking bones echoed as she screamed, her body twisting on the stone path. A second blow hit her lower back, a sickening crunch silencing her briefly before her cries turned desperate. Please stop, she gasped, crawling, then realizing her legs wouldn't move. I'm sorry. I leaned forward, voice cold. This is pain, Margaret. This is what you did to Luna, to my son, to us. Luna delivered one final blow, precise, to Margaret's spine. The silence that followed was deafening, broken only by her sobs and distant sirens. Paramedics arrived, then police. Margaret was carted off, whimpering, I can't feel my legs. Witnesses confirmed she'd provoked Luna, waving a branch and screaming threats. Dr. Chen testified about Luna's abuse, backed by photos and records. Ethan's counselor detailed his trauma from Margaret's harassment. The police ruled it an accident, no charges filed. Margaret survived, but her spine was shattered, leaving her paralyzed from the waist down. The HOA ousted her, and her house sat unsold, tainted by her reputation. Ethan and Luna healed together, their bond stronger than ever. 6 months later, Margaret sued, claiming I'd orchestrated the attack. The case collapsed, her history of cruelty, and the evidence buried her. The judge was blunt. You caused this, MS. Voss, with your own malicious actions. 5 years on, in June 2028, Ethan's 18, a strong young man who still starts each day with Luna. The mayor's scars have faded, her trust restored. Margaret lives in a care facility in Oregon, reportedly humbled, her cruelty dulled by her own helplessness. Do I feel guilty? No. I feel the peace Luna feels galloping free, the pride Ethan feels in their bond, the rightness of justice served. What do you think? Was Luna's reaction pure instinct, or did she know exactly what she was doing? Should I have stopped her, or was Margaret's fate deserved? Where are you reading this from? Drop a comment, like, and subscribe for more stories like this.